Welcome to The Explainer, where today we're diving into the bustling, microscopic universe operating inside you right this very second. We are talking about Chapter 2, Cell, the building block of life. If you've ever wondered how your body knows exactly how to heal a paper cut, or, why plants can stand tall without a skeleton, you are absolutely in the right place.
Just think about this number for a second. Every single day, you replace hundreds of billions of cells. That is almost 1% of your entire body constantly renewing itself. You're quite literally a living, breathing, rebuilding factory. It's wild to think about.
Okay, let's take a quick look at our structural map for this explainer. We'll start with 1, the unseen world, move to 2, boundaries and osmosis, explore 3, inside the cellular factory, break down 4, the mechanics of cell division, and finish up with 5, the ultimate balance of life.
Section 1. The unseen world.
Now, why did this foundational building block stay hidden for most of human history? Well, it all comes down to the limits of our own biology. The human eye has a resolution limit of just 0.1 millimeters. Basically, if two things are closer than that, they just blur into a single point to our naked eye. And since a typical cell is way smaller than that, we absolutely needed the invention of microscopes, like the one Robert Hooke designed back in 1665, to finally crack open this hidden world and see these tiny box-like compartments he named cells.
And looking at a microscopic view of a simple colocasia leaf brilliantly illustrates what we've been missing all those centuries. Under a scanning electron microscope, a smooth green leaf transforms into this incredibly dynamic, highly structured landscape. It really changes how you look at the world, doesn't it?
So where did all this complexity actually come from? Well, scientists traced life back about 3.5 billion years to primitive single-celled prokaryotes. Think of those heat-loving bacteria thriving in boiling hot springs today. They're tiny, usually between 1 to 10 micrometers, and they completely lack a defined nucleus or membrane-bound organelles. But over billions of years, they evolved into the larger, incredibly complex eukaryotic cells, complete with well-defined nuclei and organelles that make up plants, animals, and, well, you.
Moving right along to Section 2, Boundaries and Osmosis.
Every functional factory needs a highly secure gate, right? For the cell, this is the plasma membrane. It's not just a dumb wall, it is selectively permeable. That means it carefully monitors exactly what enters and exits. It lets oxygen in, kicks carbon dioxide out, and makes sure the delicate balance inside is perfectly protected so the cell can actually stay alive. You can literally see this membrane in action with a simple potato. When you put a piece of potato in plain water, water flows right into the cells. But if you take a similar piece and drop it in a salt solution, the water inside the potato cells rushes out to balance that high salt concentration on the outside. That is osmosis at work, and you can see it happening as the potato in the salt water visibly shrinks and completely changes shape. But here's an interesting question for you. Why do plants have an extra rigid layer outside their membrane called a cell wall, while we don't? Well, think about it. Animals can run away from a rainstorm or find shade on a scorching hot day. Plants are fixed in one place. They literally can't move. So they require this extra tough cell wall to withstand severe environmental changes, and specifically to keep their cells from bursting when they take in huge amounts of water. Section 3. Inside the cellular factory.
All right, let's step past the security gates and onto the factory floor, the cytoplasm. This is a remarkably coordinated system where every single part has a highly specific job. The nucleus, that's the CEO, holding all the coded genetic blueprints. The mitochondria are the power generators, providing all your energy. The endoplasmic reticulum, or ER, acts as the manufacturing floor, building materials. Those materials are then sent to the Golgi body, which is basically the shipping department for packaging. And the lysosomes? They're your cleanup crew, getting rid of all the waste. And if you're a plant, you also get plastids like chloroplasts for photosynthesis. It is a brilliant setup.
You can really think of the cell's internal transport system like a bustling logistics hub. These organelles are constantly communicating, packing up proteins and lipids, routing them through the cell, and secreting these essential materials out to exactly where your body needs them. It's an absolute logistical masterpiece, and it is happening inside millions of your cells every single second.
Section 4, The Mechanics of Cell Division.
So how does this microscopic factory actually expand when you're growing, or repair itself when you get a scrape? Well, to understand growth, scientists love to look at the freshly growing root tips of a simple onion suspended in water. Why onions? Because the cells at the very tip of those roots aren't just sitting idle, they are actively and continuously dividing to push the root further down into the soil.
When we zoom in and look closely at that root tip, we can actually catch these tiny eukaryotic cells in the exact, highly orderly act of multiplying. It is amazing! You can catch different stages of the process happening side by side, the chromosomes lining up, pulling apart, and ultimately splitting one parent cell into two brand new daughter cells.
Now there are two totally distinct strategies for this division. Mitosis is your day-to-day workhorse. It perfectly clones cells to heal that cut on your arm or maintain normal growth, producing two genetically identical daughter cells. But for creating the next generation, we use meiosis. That's a specialized process that creates four entirely unique sex cells or gametes with exactly half the genetic material. And that right there is the secret engine of our genetic diversity.
Which brings us to Section 5, the ultimate balance of life.
If cells are constantly dividing, how does our body prevent them from endlessly taking over? The foundation of this balance lies in the classic cell theory, which was expanded by scientists like Rudolf Virchow way back in 1855. This theory tells us that all cells arise from pre-existing cells. That means your life and the life of literally every living thing is an unbroken chain of cellular division stretching all the way back to the beginning of life on Earth.
But to maintain form and function, our cells desperately need limits. Animal cells have a brilliant built-in brake pedal called contact inhibition. It works like this. Once a space is filled, say a wound is finally healed, and the cells touch their neighbors, they receive a signal and just politely stop multiplying. They actually know their boundaries.
And honestly, even more fascinating is programmed cell death, or PCD. Your body deliberately and carefully destroys specific cells. Why on earth would it do that? Well, when you were just a developing embryo, your hands looked a bit like solid paddles. Programmed cell death selectively eliminated the cells between your digits. That genetically regulated destruction is exactly why you have distinct fingers today instead of webbed hands like a duck.
Which leaves us with this final, incredibly vital thought. If cells must die for us to live, what happens when they forget how? When cells lose that crucial contact inhibition, when they ignore the brakes and completely forget how to execute programmed cell death, they begin to divide uncontrollably. This tragic loss of balance is exactly what leads to the formation of tumors. It forces us to wonder, if our cells hold the incredible power to both build life and purposefully destroy it, what other secrets are still hiding inside this microscopic universe, just waiting to be unlocked?